Our next speaker she's here already. We'll be having our first female speaker at the 2022 Global Youth Empowerment Summit. She will be speaking for the first time at the summit. We have her all the way from the US. Titilola Shawana is here. Shawana is here. So I'm going to read a profile to us right now, and she's going to engage us. Titilola Shawana is a HR expert with over 10 years of experience in human resource and people management. She's the HR director at Oluti Engineering, a family-owned industrial waste management company, where she helped to develop efficient processes and systems for higher levels of productivity. All right, let me put that on the spotlight so that we can see her face. Awesome, awesome. You're welcome. She's passionate about researching and teaching strategies that increase the productivity of employees. She's a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University. Great, Ife. I'm also a
great.
Yes. With a bachelor's degree in sociology and anthropology. She also has an MBA from Alt International Business School, Boston. She is a mother of one and a wife. Let's welcome today Titilola Shawana, as she presents on, a lot of us that we work with people, we have employees, and there's a lot of things we see that happens in those platforms, and you just see different things that that can get you angry. But today she's going to expatiate more for us on workplace management and how we can ensure that we get the best from our workplace. So let's welcome for the first time to the summit, Titilola Shawana. You're welcome, man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dio Adetiloye. Thank you so much.
Your voice is clear and great. Good
All
to
right,
have
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
you
much.
have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Wherever you are all watching from, thank you so much. I would like to use this opportunity to thank Mr. Dio for giving me the opportunity to speak and to share my message. Like he has rightly said, I mostly speak about strategies. And today, one of the ones I'll be talking about is distraction management in the workplace. I would also like to use this medium to also appreciate the last speaker, Mr. JT. Thank you so much for that. That was very, very insightful, talking about transitions. What really got to me the most was the why, Whatever we do, we always have to think about the why. So right now, I'll be sharing my screen. Just a moment, please. Let me put my screen up there. Okay, can we all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, yes. So the topic I'll be talking about today is distraction management at the workplace. Now, I know our summit is about making global impact in 2022, and this is a topic that is more like a housekeeping kind of topic, And when we're talking about housekeeping, we are the house. I'm not talking about a physical building right now. You and I, we are the house, and we want to talk about some of the things that we can do as a person, to be able to make global impact. And one aspect that we can deal with, talking about distraction management. Now, distraction management as a topic came to my interest when I realized how today we are filled with distractions in every aspect of our lives, not just in the workplace, in our homes, in our workplace, Even sometimes you go shopping, you are distracted in everything you do. You know, distraction is something that's very, very visible, very, very present in our everyday life. And what prompted me to begin to research on this topic was what happened to me at work recently. You know, sometimes when I'm at the work, I'm working on a proposal that I'm about to submit to one of my clients. And in the process, somebody knocks at my office door, interrupting me, like to ask a question or something. And while I'm trying to attend to that person, my phone rings and then I have to like pick up a call. At the same time, I'm working on this proposal, you know. So sometimes we have this experiences or this occurrence where so many things are happening to us at the same time. And at the same time, in that same time, we also need a focused, we also have to be focused on what we are doing. And while that was happening, I realized that this is something that I started speaking with a colleague. I was like, does this happen to you at work where you're working and then your phone rings or people interrupt you? She said, oh, like, she just answered and told me it was a norm. I was like, okay, so that means this thing is real, you know. And also, my husband called me recently. I picked up the phone, but I was still talking to somebody else. And by the time I saw him, he said, why is it that whenever you pick up your phone, you are not speaking on the phone, but you still keep talking to the other person? In my defense, I was like, come on, it's just a one timer. He said, no, it's something you do often. That's when I realized that, okay, I think if it is this bad, because I began to notice it in my everyday life, I felt like, okay, I think I need to really, really understand what distraction is and also how to manage it. And that's why I would like to share it with us in our 2020 Youth Summit. So let's dive into it. The outline for today is I'll be defining distraction. I know when you hear the word distraction, it just sounds like bread and tea, sounds like something you know every day. But I just like want to define it again, just so that we understand actually what distraction is. And then after that, I'll be speaking about distraction management. And then I'll be speaking about the effects of distraction on productivity. Then we would like to understand some of the triggers and also strategies on how to manage those triggers. Now, let me take this away. Okay, yeah. So, distraction defined. Distraction is something that prevents someone from giving his or attention to something else. You know, now when I'm saying distraction, it's a word that you can break into three. Now, if you look at the last part of it, is action. And then if you put the TR, is traction. And then the whole word is distraction. Now, action, let's talk about action first. What is action? If we go back to our elementary school, our primary school, we were told that action is like a verb, an action word, or a doing word. So on the chat, if you can, just tell me what are some of the actions you take every day. If you can write it on the chat, that would be really interesting. You know, like riding a bike, like jumping, like running. Those are all actions we take every day. Now, let's come up a bit. What about setting a goal? A goal that you want to do. That's an action that you are taking. Now, concerning our summit for today, making global impact. That is also a goal. That is also an action. So when we talk about the word action, those are things we do every day. Those are things we do in our everyday life. Those are different things we do every day. Exactly. Writing, running, talking, working. Exactly. Those are actions. Studying. Thank you very much. Those are different actions that occurs in our everyday life. Now, let's move on. Traction. We've talked about action. Now, let's talk about traction. Tractions, those are actions that move us towards what we really want. Now, every day you take an action that moves you towards achieving what you have said you want to do. That means you have built traction. While on the other end, actions that moves you away from what you want to do. Now, we are still talking about the word distraction, but like I said, it's broken down into three parts. You have the action. Those are things you do to achieve your goal. You have the distraction that moves you away. And these are things that happens to us in our everyday life. we're talking about making global impact. Dayo was talking about things that we can do to earn in dollars. Now, when you write it down somewhere, I want to earn in dollars, that is an action that you have written down. So the next question will be, what are the steps that you're going to take to earn in dollars? Those are also actions that you're going to take. Now, the more you take actions to earn in dollars, you're building traction. But the more you take actions that would not make you earn in dollars, that's when you have written down earning dollars as the goal. Now you are distracted. That's why I just really wanted to talk about the definition of distraction as a whole. So whenever you hear the word distraction, I want to bring it to our consciousness that it's not just a word in itself, distraction. It's an action that you have done either to move towards achieving your desired goal, or an action that is taking you away from achieving your desired goal. If you are with me, just write on the chat, yes, I'm with you. Okay, so going forward, I would also want to talk about, just 1 minute, please. Okay, yes. Why distraction management? Why are we talking about this topic? Why are we talking about distraction management? Like I said earlier, there's distraction all around us. You don't need to seek for distraction. Distraction will come seeking for you. You know, it's just like good and bad. Most times you have to make effort to do good things, but bad things will just always come on its own. That's the same thing as distraction. Now imagine a baby, like I have a toddler in my house. If there's a cup if there's a cup right on the table and I tell him, hey, go get me that cup. God help me, if there's a very attractive toy between him and the cup, I'm sure he will go for that toy, and he's just like, Mama, you have to get up and pick up the cup yourself, you know? So these are things that happens to us every day. Distractions just they come uninvited, you know? They come uninvited. They come to you every day. I'm sure when we talk about distraction, most people are always thinking about the phones. You're always thinking about the notifications. Oh, yes, those are also distractions, but there are also other deeper things apart from those other ones that we generally know about distraction. On the screen I have here, I said the goal of distraction management is for productivity and effectiveness. When you wake up in the morning, you take your bath, you go to work, and you're saying you want to go, you're going to work, and you have like a particular assignment or a task that you're supposed to achieve for the day. When you go to work and you are able to achieve that goal, there's this inward satisfaction that you feel. There's this feeling, this good feeling that you have, that you feel like, yes, I've achieved something today. But if every day you go to work and you're so distracted and you're not able to achieve what you have said you want to do, then you begin to have this sense of dissatisfaction, this sense of inefficiency, feeling like, oh, is it like, is my job environment that's not good enough? Or it's because the truth is, for everything we do, if you find a reason to blame something else for why you have not been able to do something, you will always see a reason. You always see a reason to blame your surrounding. You always see a reason to blame your bosses. You always see a reason to blame your colleagues. But today we're talking about distraction management because it's now ourselves. Like I said at the beginning, this is like a housekeeping. We're talking about ourselves. The goal is, how can we be more productive? How can we be more efficient? Now, I know the topic is about the workplace, but let us expand it a little bit. What about those of us that work from home? Yes, there's distraction. For the fact that you work remotely doesn't mean there's no distraction. There are interruptions. There are things that pops up to you every day, you know. So today I'm going to be talking about where those things are coming from. Apart from just the externals, there are also some internal causes of these distractions that we're talking about. And in managing distraction, it will help you to also manage your time. Now, I know we're not talking about time management. We're talking about distraction management. The reason why I brought time is because in life, we always have securities to manage our properties, those things that are tangible, like we manage our gold, we manage our house, we protect our goals, we protect our houses, we even pay security guards, But there's one thing that is intangible. There's one thing in us that most times we just are not, maybe we're not just conscious of it enough, which is time. Most times we don't have these securities in place to manage our time. And one thing I realized during my study or during my research of this distraction management is that when you are able to manage the distractions around you, you are also able to manage your time. So this is why it would be good to begin to see what are those things that are distracting you and how can you manage these distractions that are all around you. So going forward, we will now be talking about the effects of distraction on productivity. Now, we're talking about distraction. What is the effect? What's the cost of distraction? The first one I have on my slide is saying hinders efficiency. Now, efficiency is a word that we are all used to in the workplace. Oh, when you hear efficiency, effectiveness, these are just words that we are used to. But today I decided to take a dictionary definition of efficiency. And what I found out was that it was saying achieving maximum productivity with minimum effort. Now, I know that's something we are all used to. But the truth is, how often do we plan out or have we said to ourselves that I have this thing that I want to do and I'm going to achieve it? Now, it's not just achieving it as the thing. How much effort did you use? Was it as minimum as possible, or was it maximum productivity with maximum efforts? So one thing about distraction is it hinders efficiency. It hinders efficiency. Once you have set up to, maybe you are a writer and you've told yourself that today I'm going to write the first 5 chapters or the first 2 chapters of my book. And you have said within the first 5 hours of the day, you are going to focus on it and you're going to get the work done. In the process, if you are distracted, you will find out that you will not be able to achieve what you have said you're going to do. So that's what we're talking about today. Distraction. If you have planned out your time, I'm going to use 1 hour to do research. I'm going to use the next hour to write a draft. And then the 3rd hour, I'm going to use it to begin to fine tune that draft. That's a very perfect situation, And in the process of this happening, you find out that your phone is dinging and ringing, and you also find out that you are getting a lot of interruptions. You see that you are not able to manage exactly, or you're not able to achieve what you have said you're going to do. So that's why I decided to start talking about distraction, because it's really a big deal in our environment today. The next one is that it reduces the quality of your work when you are distracted. A very perfect example is the seamstress. You don't want your product to be what I ordered versus what I got. I'm sure nobody wants that for their product. You always want it to be that when somebody comes and tells you that this is what I want, you want to be able to deliver that quality, if not even better than what they've said. But if you are always distracted, it's going to reduce the quality of your work. And then the last one is prompting forgetfulness. When you're always distracted and you don't take out time to manage it, sometimes you can have this beautiful idea in your head and you're just like, you know what, maybe you're working on a proposal and a beautiful idea just popped into your head and you were just about to write it down. And in the course of writing it down, somebody walks up to you and asks you a question, and then you answer the question and you're trying to get back to your work. Most times you find out that you have even forgotten about what you wanted to write. And it was a very beautiful idea. So these things, they happen a lot. That's why today I'm talking about distraction management, because this will help us in our everyday decision making. It will help us in our everyday taking actions. If we go back to the definition of distraction, I said actions that you take to do what you've said you want to do. That's the goal. That's the aim. That's what we want. You want a situation where you have said, I want to begin to I want to start a podcast. You want to take actions that would help you. You want to take actions that will propel you to start that podcast that you've talked about, and not actions that will take you away from your goals. So quickly, we want to talk about the triggers. What are these triggers? What causes distraction in the workplace? What causes distraction? Why am I not as efficient as I've said I want to be? It's not just the internet. I need us to understand that before the internet came to be, there were other mediums. We had the radios. If there's people here that remembers the Walkman, there were other mediums that were like mode of that were also things that were distracting people. But today, I want to talk about some of the internal and the external triggers to distraction. Those are the things I want to talk about today. I have a few of them that I've listed down, and I just want to like run through them. Then we talk about how to manage them. And at the end of the presentation, you'll see that whenever you're about to like set out a goal, or when you're about to like tell yourself that I want to do this today, with all of these strategies, you'll see that you'll be able to do them just as you have said, because right now I'm kind of like bringing this to your consciousness. These are things you already know about them, yes. But sometimes when somebody now talks about it again, it kind of like brings it again to your consciousness, and then you are seeing it all around you. All right. So quickly, we want to talk about the internal triggers. Like I said earlier, sometimes when we think about distraction, we always take them from like the environment, which are like the external, which we'll still talk about. But today, I just want us to talk about what are some of these things that causes distractions internally. And the first one is when you are tired, you're hungry, or you're sleepy. Now, picture yourself the last time you were working on a project and you've spent so much hours on it. And while you were working on that project, you just told yourself, you know what? I'm just going to pick up my phone and see what's happening on social media. Now, that's taking yourself away from what you have said you're going to do, which is a distraction. Now, you're tired, you're hungry, you're sleepy. That is actually the main reason. So the moment you take an action that will move you away from achieving what you say you're going to do, then that is now driving you towards distraction. If you remember the first slide, we had an arrow that moved, actions that moves towards traction, and actions that moves towards distraction. So when you're tired, you're hungry, you're sleepy, that is what you should deal with. Not just pick up your phone and be like, you know what, I'm just going to spend the next 30 minutes going on social media, and then you get there and then you are not able to stop and come back to what you were working on. If you're tired, take a rest. If you're hungry, get something to eat. If you're sleepy, get some rest, because it's the body. And the next one is boredom. Sometimes when you're so bored, you just tend to like want to find how to make yourself come alive again, and I'm sure there are times when we had projects that we don't even like. So for example, like people working in the factory, your job role requires this monotonous process, that a process where you are doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then because you are doing that same thing like 150 times a day, it becomes monotonous, so you are bored. And then the next thing you're trying to find how to get out of boredom, and then you tilt towards getting distracted. So boredom is not just for factory. Even those of us that work from home, or even those of us that are remote workers, or those of us that has a personal business of our own, sometimes you can have a project that that this client is paying so well, but you're not just really into it. I was reading something about fun recently, and I was made to understand that sometimes fun is not really what we think is fun. It's your definition. It's when you define it to be interesting, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So sometimes you can have a tax that seem like it's really, 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 really boring. Sometimes just giving it another look, sometimes just giving it another definition, defining it as, what, I'm not going to take this tax as something that's boring. What I'm going to do? I'm going to try how to look at this tax from another perspective. Sometimes looking at something from another perspective can change how you are thinking about that thing. So that's boredom. So sometimes the reason why we drift towards distraction is boredom. And then another one is worry. Sometimes we worry a lot that somebody gives you a news and then you begin to worry about it. If there's something I understand about worry, is that worry never solves a problem. Instead, no matter how long you spend worrying about something, you will keep worrying about it, but it's never going to change the situation. So these are some of the internal triggers that I was talking about. Another one is negative bias. Some people, immediately they just hear about something, the first thing they're thinking about is the negative aspect of it. If we say we want to build a house, they're thinking about, we don't have money, we don't have a land, we cannot build a house. When you always see the negative side of something, you tend not to even want to do anything. And today we're talking about actions. We're talking about actions that will drive us to traction and not distraction. So if all these things trigger you, for example, you are bored or you worry or you ruminate over things over and over again, it tends to not want to make you take those actions that you've said you're going to do that will help you achieve those things that you've said you're going to do. Okay, so that's why I said, let's talk about some of the things that happens inside of us that makes us distracted. And then the final one that I have is dissatisfaction. Now, dissatisfaction is kind of like the mother of every one of them. When you are dissatisfied with yourself, you are dissatisfied with your life. Sometimes when you are so dissatisfied, you don't even want to like take steps to even just move forward. You just be on your bed and you're just like, you know what? I don't have anything to offer to the world today. So I'm just going to pick up my phone and I'm just going to keep social media in, or keep Facebooking, or keep TikToking, and just keep myself happy. The truth is, those actions that you're taking at that point is not going to help your state of being dissatisfied. When I was preparing my slides for dissatisfaction, I said I was going to tell a story about what happened to me when I just graduated from high school, like secondary school in Nigeria. So just before I graduated, I really didn't know what my career path was going to be, because I was in social sciences and I just felt like, you know what, I'm just going to go with whatever it is that's happening, until we had a visitor who came in and she said she studied economics, and then she did petroleum economics for her master's. And then from there, now she's working in a Jeep. And I just found like a very perfect model for myself, like study economics, get master's in petroleum economics. And then, you know what? I work in an oil and gas industry. That's the goal, So I went on to I got into OAU for the pre-degree program, and I did so well. The cutoff for economics was 68, and I got a 71. So in my mind, I felt like, yes, I'm taking the steps. But unfortunately, on the day that I was told the course that I was going to study, I found out that I wasn't given economics. Instead, they gave me sociology. And guess what, guys? That was the first time I was hearing the term sociology. I've never heard about that before. Sociology. What's that? 16-year-old me, So I got the course and I got back home and I was telling my mom, they gave me a course that I don't even know the meaning of this word. It's not like today that the first time you hear a word, you just go on Google and then you just start. Then that was not like our nature. Then when you hear about something, you first want to like go to the elders to find the meaning. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So I got home, I was just telling my mom, they gave me sociology. I don't understand. What is that? These people are drifting me away from my model in life. I want to be an economist, a petroleum economist, and work in an oil and gas industry. Sociology is taking me away from my goal, So my mom told me to calm down, ask questions about it and all that. Now, to make the matter really, really worse, I met up with some of my classmates that we finished from secondary school, and we happened to meet with our principal. And our principal was asking us, okay, what course are you studying and what school? Imagine that. The first person went accounting, I think Covenant University or something. And then he went, wow, that's interesting. Really, really good. The next person, microbiology. The next person, geology. Man, these are like really, really exciting courses. And then it got to me because it was just four of us. And then I said sociology. And the man too was confused. He was confused. He was like, sociology, wow, okay. Now, I'm not trying to say sociology is not a, after all, I did it, BSc, sociology, anthropology, and I'm proud of it. But I'm just trying to explain a story here. So that was what he told me. And then and for the other people, he had been telling them like a career path that was really interesting. Oh, you're accountant, you be a chartered accountant. You can work with, giving them options. But when it got to me, it was just like, oh, I think maybe you can work in the police department. And I was like, police? Why police? After that meeting, I felt worse than any other thing. I was so dissatisfied with my life. I felt like it was over for me because what I wanted to be was an economist that also have my master's in petroleum economics and work in an oil and gas industry. Now you're telling me I'm going to work in the police industry. This is not like I'm trying to like demeaning the police or anything. It's just that it affected what I thought about myself for the longest time, So I got back to school. I had two options. I had to take actions, which is what we're talking about today, actions. I had to take actions. And I had two options. Either to take actions that would, just make me feel pity for myself for the next 4 years of my life, or take actions that will make me feel like I would get something out of this course. So the next thing I did, I began to ask those in 400 level. So you're studying sociology. What is this course really about? I began to ask questions. I began to ask about the career part. I began to ask about what associations can I join, to be really, really relevant, and that's when they told me about CIPM. And it was from school I joined CIPM. I joined CIPM before I graduated. I was already an associate member, and then I learned so much that I could also have a career in human resources. Why am I telling us this story? It's just that every day in life, we get news, we get information. People come to tell you things. Even sometimes you scroll through social media, you see that your classmates are doing so well, you see that people are doing so well, and you begin to ask yourself. Like I said, dissatisfaction is the mother of distraction, especially for the internal triggers. Actions that you take would determine if you will really, really make the global impact that we're talking about. So after this summit, I'm sure I was listening to Dio, and Dio was saying very, very interesting things that we could do, to make global impact. Also, JT was talking about how you could transition. Now, all these things that we're talking about, they are actions that you're supposed to take to either help you, to achieve these things they are talking about, or you just wallow in self-pity and then you just tilt towards distractions, because distractions will always come. So that's why I kind of like said, I was going to take a little extra time to really explain dissatisfaction. All right, so let's talk about some of the external triggers. Interruptions. This happens every day. You're working on something, people will interrupt you. You're even talking sometimes and you'll be interrupted. And then you begin to ask, where was I the last time? What was I saying? So these are things that are like external triggers. Another one is emails. Emails, oh my God, it's a very, very interesting tool that we need in our everyday work, but they can also be a source of distraction. And then the other one is group chat. Group chat is, in short, this one on its own needs like 3 hours to talk about. There are ways that you can manage it, because sometimes you just wake up, you're on WhatsApp and you just find that you have joined the group. Your manager has added you to a group and telling you to work on a task that you were not even privy to. This happens every day. Another one is smartphones. This is like the biggest of all, smartphones. those notifications, those ringings, those buzzing, and there are just so many things that happens with the smartphone. As much as the smartphone is useful for us to do what we said we want to do, it's also a very big distraction, especially when you look at the home screen and then you see those notification buttons, and then the next thing you want to begin to scroll at them. So let's talk about some of the strategies that we can use to manage some of these triggers. Now, strategies for managing internal triggers. David Rock said, maintaining a good focus on a thought occurs through not so much of how you focus, but rather how you inhibit the wrong things from coming into focus. So you see, at the end of the day, it's all about actions. What actions are you taking? Like he said, maintaining a good focus is not just about how you focus, but how you do not focus on the wrong thing. So sometimes there are some things that you are doing and you might feel like, oh, I'm doing this thing, but truthfully, that thing is even taking you away from what you said you want to do. So let's talk about some of those strategies. The first one is being mindful about the source of your discomfort. Now, I've mentioned them. Whenever you're working on a project and you feel like you just want to scroll on your phone, before you scroll on your phone, pause and ask yourself, why do I want to scroll on my phone? JT was talking about why. Why is very important in our everyday life. Before you just tilt towards scrolling on your phone, ask yourself, why do I want to scroll on my phone? Are you bored? Are you worrying? Those things I mentioned for the internal triggers. Why are you about to take that step? Be mindful of it. Be intentional about it. Like I said, I'm bringing this word to us because I want it to be in our consciousness. We are distracted every day, but sometimes we just think we don't have control over it. No, you do have control over it. As most of them, you have control over them. Be mindful of it, of the source of why you are discomfort. Then the next one is watch out for liminal moments. What are liminal moments? I'm going to give you an example or an instance. You finished a meeting with your boss and you're walking to your workstation. And in the process, you're like, let me just browse through my phone and see what's happening. I find that by the time you also get to your phone, by the time you get to your desk, you will still be on that phone instead of you to drop the phone and continue what you were doing before you went for that meeting. Those are the liminal moments. Watch out for them. Sometimes they're just like, oh, let me just dash in and dash out. Most times you breeze in, but then you crawl out because you've gotten something interesting, either something about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian or whatever it is that you follow on social media. There's so many interesting things, newsfeed. There's so many things on Instablog, so many things on all of these things that we watch or that we go to on our phones. So you have to watch out for them, especially when you've told yourself that at this particular time, I'm going to achieve this. And then those short interruptions, those moments just occur and you're just like, you know what, no. Let me just check that email. In the process of checking the email, check the email and go back. But no, you will now go on to click on another tab and say, okay, while the email is popping up, let me quickly see what's happening on Facebook. And then research also told us that it takes about 23 minutes for you to get back to work after you have been distracted. About 23 minutes for your mental state to go back focused. It was a research that was conducted in the University of California. This was research that was done for years, and they found that it takes over 23 minutes for you to go back on track. So we have to watch out for these moments whenever we are, talking about achieving our goals. What are some of the strategies for managing external triggers? Defend your focus. Now look at this picture, and I want you to read it, or let me read it, just follow me. It says, please don't talk to me. I have no self-control, and we talk to you for the next hours and get no work done. Now, I'm sure when you first look at this in the office, you'll be like, why is this person putting this? The truth is, you want to focus, right? This is kind of like a signpost telling people that please don't talk to me. And sometimes when people see this, you will now have people that are telling others that, you know what, no. Whenever she puts this on her chair, she doesn't want to be interrupted. She doesn't want anybody to talk to her. So just leave her alone. Let her get her work done. So this is like a signboard and it's like a signpost. Okay. So defend your focus. What do I mean by that? If you get to work and you want to work on a particular proposal for the next 3 hours, you can have that meeting with your boss beforehand and tell your boss, sir, I have this proposal I want to work on. Please, I need 3 hours to get this proposal done. And after 3 hours, I'm going to get it delivered to you. You know, this is you taking steps before your planned time. And once you have said this to your boss, now this is us managing the people above us. Now for your colleagues, have something like this. Or, you know, somebody else says she always has like a hair loop that she just put on her head. Whenever she wears it, everybody just knows the sign that, okay, this person wants to work, let's not disturb her. And have the conversation with your staffs. Like the next one, we say, let people know and set boundaries. Have the conversation. Talk to your bosses when you want to have that focused work done. So if you're someone that works from home, talk to your spouse. Talk to your children, especially when they understand, you know. Talk to everybody around you. Let them know that you are about to get some work done. So please do not disturb me. It's just like what you have on your phone when you put the do not disturb sign. It's the same thing for interruptions. You can put it on your door. You know, when in the hospital, when there's a surgery going on, there's like a post, there's a sign written. You can't even enter. You understand? That's like letting people know that we can't take any interruption. We can't take any calls. Nobody can come in. Nobody can go out. It's the same thing you can set for yourself. Even if you work in an open space that you have workstations that you have people sitting opposite to you. These are things that you can do. Think about something yourself. You know, when we talk about making global impact, it starts with you. It starts with what you do every day. It's not really about, I just go global. It starts with what are you doing today, you know, to take that action. If you understand what I'm saying. Now, there was also another research conducted in the University of California in a multi-hospital. And they found out that for most of the time, a lot of people, the nurses have been making a lot of errors when dispensing medication. Now, imagine when you think about hospitals, the first thing that comes to your mind is they're saving lives, right? But now, imagine a situation where they say the cause of death and they say it was wrong dispensation of medication. Now, you wanted to dispense insulin, you dispense something else, maybe aspirin or something, you know, and in the process of giving it to the patient dies. So this was something that was going on for years. So these guys, they came together and said, you know what, let's find a way to minimize interruption among the nurses whenever they are dispensing medication. Do you know what they did? Very simple. Whenever you go to the booth when you want to dispense this medication, wear a yellow vest. Whenever they wear that yellow vest, nobody will interrupt them. Nobody will ask them any question. Nobody says anything to them, so that there will be no error. At the end of the day, they did this for 3 years and they were able to reduce the error in dispensing medication down to 88%. You can imagine that. Imagine the lives of people that were saved just by wearing a yellow vest. So you just think of something creative that you can do. And this is not just in the work environment alone. Even at home, you know, you have an assignment to do in church, you know, anywhere, wherever you are. Just think of interesting way that you can let people know and also set boundaries. Another important one is work with productive people. Don't just pick your friends. Oh, this is my friend, I'm going to work with my friend. They will delay. See, if you always pick your friend whenever you want to do a job, instead of you people to work, you will gist more than work. So sometimes me, when I have a project, I even go for people that I don't even talk to, you know, so that we'll get there, get the work done. Then in the process, after the work is done, then we can now begin to familiarize ourselves and begin to talk to each other. Another one, which is another very, very important one, is turn off digital notification. Now, I want you to know that this is just like the basic, basic, basic. There are ways, there are proven strategies, there are proven ways that you can manage digital notification. There are so many things that can be done that I can't even begin to mention here. So many, And then lastly, I want to say, write things down. Write things down. When you have so many things in your head that, like Albert Einstein, what did he say? Paper is to write things down that we need to remember. Our brains are used to think. What most of us do, we have an idea, we leave it in our brain. No, we use it to think. After thinking, then you write it down. Write things down, because if you don't, before you know, you lose that idea, and before you know what's happening, you have forgotten about it. So finally, in conclusion, I just want to ask a question. What are some of the steps you are going to take, that you're going to start taking today towards ensuring you can manage distractions around you going forward? I want us to begin to write it on the chat. What are those things that you can do? How can you manage internal triggers? How can you manage external triggers? I mentioned a lot of things, and I want us to begin to think about them. Just begin to think them through. Whenever you think about picking up your phone to go on to social media, first ask yourself a question. Why am I tilting towards either playing a game or going to Facebook or going to Instagram? Why am I about to do this? Always ask that question. And from this, I'm going to say thank you very much. And if there's any questions, I would like to take them now. And I'll also like to pass it on to Dio. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Wow. This is an awesome presentation we have today. The questions are already dropping like back to back. Let's first appreciate that. We really appreciate you for that excellent. Well done, Lola. That's from Kola Wole. Awesome. Thank you very much. Absolute brilliant presentation. Wonderful presentation. Awesome. So let's start dropping our questions. We have a question from Viewing Center in Ondo State, Nigeria. The person say, please, ma, if someone have boredom, what will happen to he or she? You can unmute yourself.
Okay, boredom. Okay, I mentioned boredom earlier. So this is the thing about boredom. So I need to understand a little more. Is it based on the work that you are doing that you are bored about, or is just generally being bored? Now, if you are generally being bored, you want to ask yourself a question. Why am I bored? Is there something that's why at the end of the internal triggers, I told you that dissatisfaction is the mother of them all. Sometimes when you are bored, why are you bored? Think about yourself. Think about yourself. And if it is a project that you are doing that you are getting bored on, look at some ways that you can look at that project in another perspective. Sometimes talk to somebody about it. They'll share light on it, and you'll be able to view it in another way. And boredom is a thing that we can always overcome. And there are practical steps. But if you drop me a message on Instagram, I'll be able to walk you through this process, because it's really a lot. There are practical steps, research proving, that I'll walk you through, that you'll be able to overcome boredom. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So we have another one here by Dr. Tunga. He said, please, I need to understand how dissatisfaction can be a distraction. I feel it is more of a traction, because if I'm dissatisfied with my present situation, I will stand up and take steps towards satisfaction. So please, exactly. I needed to understand how dissatisfaction can be a distraction.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Now, I see that while you were asking the question, you also actually answered the question. Now, why I said dissatisfaction it tends towards distraction is because whenever you are dissatisfied, sometimes most people, instead of them to take steps towards traction, they'll rather just want to find comfort at that time, and then they'll just tilt towards getting getting distracted. So let me give an example. For example, if you go back to the story that I told about myself, I was really, really dissatisfied. And yes, I took actions to make something of myself out of sociology, right? But then I also had some other colleagues at school that they didn't know what, till we graduated, they still did not even understand what sociology was. It's that bad. So sometimes when you are dissatisfied, it kind of like you feel discomfort. You kind of feel like, you know what, I don't even know what to do with myself right now. I'm just tired. I'm tired of life. And then you tend to give up. And sometimes they lead to depression, and then they lead to distraction. You just want to like find something that will make you happy immediately, right away, right now. And you're dissatisfied. One thing you want to do is you want to find pleasure. So what's the best way to find pleasure? Sometimes you just pick up your phone and you're on social media. And before you know what's happening, you've spent like 4 hours on social media just scrolling without making any impact whatsoever. So that's why at the beginning, I said distraction are three different. I divided them into three. We have action, we have traction, and we have distraction. So those actions you take when you are dissatisfied, do they move you towards traction, or do they move you towards distraction? I don't know if that answers your question. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So we have a lot of comments here. Excellent. Well done, Lola. We have a lot of claps here. Wow. Absolute presentation. We have, thank you very much. An excellent presentation. Azan Kanu from Sierra Leone. Awesome. Thanks a lot. Okay, I see now. Thank you, ma. Wonderful explanation. That's for the person that asked that question. So we have a splendid how to mentor by you, how to be mentored by you. I think that's what this person wants to say. Do we have any question from Facebook, from our viewing center in Ondo State? Okay, any other question? Somebody say just joining. Okay, we are running up now. The day one has been amazing. Our speaker is she's still here. She wants to answer your question. God bless you, that this program. Thank you, Doctor. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Questions from Facebook. Okay, somebody said, does moving ahead from dissatisfaction have anything to do with age? Does moving ahead from dissatisfaction have anything to do with age?
Okay, so thank you for that question. Moving ahead from distraction, does it have anything to from dissatisfaction? Okay, now this is what I'm going to say about age generally. Age is something that sometimes we kind of like box ourselves, and we feel like when you have not achieved something at a particular stage of your life, you now feel like a failure. I want you to always think about KFC. KFC started at the age of, was it 70 or 72? And today, that brand is a global brand. So whatever age you are, be you 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, you can always take actions that will move you towards traction than distraction. So don't let age box you. Don't let age make you feel like you cannot do anything productive with yourself. Whatever age you are, there are always things that you can do to advance in your life and to also make global impact. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So I think we have come to the end of your section.
And then somebody talked about mentorship. Let me just quickly mention this. So in January, I'm working on like a coaching section for 6 weeks. Now, like I said, distraction management is there. We see it every day, but people don't like, it's something we are conscious, we know about it, but we've not really dived into it. Like I said, there are so many practical ways we can manage our phones, we can manage our interruptions, we can manage both the internal and the external triggers. In January, I'm coming up on a coaching program that is for 6 weeks that would help you manage yourself generally, that you'll be able to manage these distractions. Also, I have a book coming up. I think I'm going to be publishing it next month. And I will also have some articles that I'll be writing. You can look out for them on Vanguard and Punch. I'm going to be talking about how to manage distractions also. So yeah, you can look out for those things. You can follow me on Instagram, Lola Shawana, Facebook, Lola Shawana, and yeah, you can also reach me out on those platforms and I'll be happy to assist you. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So somebody said, can we also include procrastination as distraction? That is my problem.
Procrastination, yes, we can include it as distraction. But the thing is, procrastination itself is not the distraction. Like I said, it's like a means to the end, kind of. It's like, that is not what is stopping you from doing what you want to do. There's something else that is deeper. It's just like a probable cause, if you understand what I'm saying. So procrastination is like along the line. It's because, let's pick one of them. Maybe you are worried about something. Maybe you had a news and then you are worried about something and then you have to do something. Then you now procrastinate. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So yes, it can be classified, but it's not like really the main reason for distraction. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So I think this will be the last question because we are rounding up now. Somebody says, at what point would one need to see a psychiatrist if having repeated worry or boredom?
Okay, at what point you need to see a psychiatrist? I'm glad you asked that question because the truth is, in our Nigerian culture, we really don't like to speak to therapists. We really don't like to see professionals when we're having some of these problems. So this is what I would just advise. If you know you are having repeated worries and repeated boredoms, I think first of all, you need to speak with maybe if you're at work, you need to maybe speak to your managers if you're close to them. If not, seek out for like JT was talking about career coach. You have to first find out what is the source of this worry, what is the source of this boredom. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So if it gets to a point where you have met with coaches and they've not been able to help you, then I'm sure they also will be able to recommend you to a psychiatrist. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's give a round of applause and appreciation for our speaker tonight. Let's do that. Titilola Shawana. Let's appreciate her. Let's give.
Thank you, everybody.
Let's round of applause for her. So by the time information comes out on our coaching program, our book, we'll be able to get it across to the participant as at when you. We really appreciate you today. Everybody is clapping. Will you give us, okay, everybody is just appreciating you today. More knowledge.
So much.
Okay. Also, thank you very much, ma. So from Global Youth Empowerment Summit, put together by the Titilola Empowerment and Development Initiative, we want to say thank you very much.